Welcome back to your loopy. Should I say loopy again? Loopy tutorials on Firebase and your exam project. For whatever reason, I have decided to record these videos well in advance of when you need them. Don't ask me why. I guess I'm slightly a nutcase. The API will probably change by the time next year rolls around, but I don't know. I felt like learning about it now and documenting the progress as I did so that, I could have an idea of what it was like for you guys. So, anyway, we need to pick out a chart that displays student data and displays kind of like their average. The best would be like a bell curve. Now, we don't really get a bell curve, but this area chart is about as close as you can get, and it's pretty good. So I think we'll use the area chart for this one. Let's see, I'm going to click on it. Now, remember, you've already used Google Charts in the last project, so you're a pro, right? Try to do this on your own. Try to look at the documentation without watching me do it. You should be able to, at this point, at the very least, get a chart on the page, whether or not it's using the right data. But I'm about to do what you already know, which is load the Google.js, which can go above our Firebase JavaScript. And then I'm also going to take their chart JavaScript. We don't need all of this, but we are going to take it for now. We're going to make a new function. We'll call this function draw chart, and we'll give it an array. Draw it with this data, please, because we just want the chart draw function to draw the thing. All right, I'm actually going to take this load call, and I'm going to put this right at the top. Just like Firebase.database is loaded at the top, we're going to do this too. Let's say draw chart function we're writing ourselves. Get rid of those curly braces. I'm going to keep this data thing here. We don't want this. Set on load callback. We definitely don't want it to run on load. We want it to run when the score report is finished, so get rid of that. The options object is fine. New, draw the visualization into this div. Is this the div that we want? Let's see. I already made one. Let's see. Bell chart div. All right. I called it bell chart div. So whatever you called it is fine, honestly. You know, I already forgot what it was. Bell chart div. There you go. Okay, so let's inspect the data, because what we need to do is we need to take our data and create this. So this says year, 2013, 2014, 2015, 2016. And we actually don't want two here. We don't want two areas, we just want one, so we can actually delete this third element in these arrays. But what this does require us to do is list the number of items in each of these things. So this is kind of the equivalent of each letter grade, right? Like this is kind of like listing each letter grade. I'm wondering if there's a better way to do this. Bar charts, kind of. I'm not really sure. What's a combo chart? I don't know. I'm going to leave it to you guys to figure this out. You know, there's a lot of different ways to skin a cat. Part of data visualization is picking the best way. I'm not going to pretend to know the best way. I probably am going to pick not the best way each time and hopefully learn from somebody who does pick the best way, but I don't know, I guess I'm going to stick with area chart for now. I'm not really sure if it's right, but that's okay. We'll just stick with it. Anyway, so instead of year, this needs to be grade. And there are, let's see, F, D, C, B, and A is what we need our data to look like. And these are just the numbers of each grade that we got. So let's go back. Remember, we need to make an array like this. See this array? We need to make an array. So remember how we were outputting like your score, you know, the text of these? This is fine, but we also need to make this array. So at the top of our read data function, I'm going to create an empty array. We're going to call it output array. It's empty. Output array needs to be grade number. Needs to be a 2D array where the first thing is this grade number thing. Grade number. That's the first item. what we're going to do is we're going to push onto it. Right? We're going to push values onto it. We're going to push the number of F's, the number of D's, the number of C's, the number of B's, the number of A's. So how do we figure that out? Well, we could start, actually, instead of pushing, we could just do this. We could say F starts at 0. In fact, they all start at 0. C, E, F. Right? So we can say that the number of each student grade before we even read the data is 0. That makes sense because we haven't seen any yet. I'm going to get rid of this now. Except instead of changing this array into a data table, we're going to change the argument. Come back to that later. Okay, so let's see. We need to check to see for each one of these grades in the database, response score is the score. What we want to do is we want to check to see if it's an F, D, C, B, or A. Alright, so let's calculate the response percent. That's equal to the response at response key. I don't want to mess with response score because it's already working fine in the rest of it, so we'll just leave it be for now. This is not the best way to do what I'm doing. So it's the actual score of the response. Oh no, wait, this should come after. Sorry. This should come here. So, okay. Whew. So we want to say, let's say variable response grade. Or do we even need to do that? No, we don't even need to do that. Let's just say if response score divided by question array 1 dot length, basically the percent. Let's get response percent. Response percent, sorry. I'm having second thoughts about how to do this. Okay, so we're taking the score of the response divided by the length of the question array dot length, and then we need to multiply this by 100, right? So we want the percent, because that's how we calculate grades. So if response percent is greater than, what should an A be? A 90? Let's say it's a 90. We want to say output array is an array of arrays, and the A array is 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So output array at 5 at 1 is equal to itself plus 1. Right? If they got an A, add 1. That makes sense, yeah? If they got an A, add 1 to this value, which is output array at 5, because this is the 5th array in the array, and 1 because it's the second element in this small array. Alright, so else if response percent is greater than or equal to 80, this should be greater than or equal to as well. Output array, now not at 5, now we're looking at 4, and then 1, plus equals 1. See how we're doing this? You should be able to know how you're going to fill out the rest of this at this point. Again, probably not the quickest way or the cleanest way to do this, but it will get the job done, so that's okay for now. Always important to, a lot of people always say it's important to solve problems in the best possible way. You know, I don't actually agree with that. I think it's important to think about it, but there are plenty of cases that I've seen where it's, you know, it's just a little bit easier to do the quick and dirty way, and sometimes better. So, you know, we're just going to stick to that. If it's this, then it's an F. Yeah. But, you know, that's not to advocate for never using the best way to solve problems. It's important to at least think about. Anyway, so we're all done here. After we're done looping, let's go ahead and generate the graph at the end. So we'll say draw chart using the data table that we did here. So should be able to take the data table that we've made and call the draw chart function using it, and we format it in the way that Google expects. So If all goes according to plan, it should generate a nice little chart of how bad everyone's doing. So let's go ahead and upload this. I'm going to upload it to my branch here. I actually need to upload a few things. I need to save my index file. I don't know why I keep calling it this, but I should really save this as just index.html at this point. You'll notice I'm doing a strange versioning thing with my local directory, and it's just not working. So I switched to GitHub, and that's been better. Anyway, long story. All right, so we uploaded our index, and now we need to upload our JavaScript. I am actually going to save this as something slightly different. Actually, that's a stupid idea. Let's just save it as the same thing. Go to upload, we'll go to this. Cool. All right, let's make sure everything looks good on the live version here. So we should have the chart functionality there. Sure enough, it is, which is nice. Any errors from loading? No? All right, let's go ahead and see how it worked. So if all goes according to plan, when we're done with the test, we should get a nice little chart about how our user has done. That's good. Container is not defined. Bell chart div. Bell chart div. I don't believe you that the container is not defined, good sir. I think the container is very well defined. Is there not bell chart div in here? Oh, you know why? Because we overwrote the HTML over here. This shouldn't say score report. This should say total score. We don't want to overwrite all of this HTML. We want to overwrite what's in here. So this should say total score div. That's the ID that I gave to this left div here. Okay, that does make sense. That is a real reason why this might break. You might do something stupid, like me. I do a lot of stupid things, but it's all a matter of cleaning it up. Don't tell anyone I said that. Actually, it's okay. It's fine. All right, let's try again. Do we know that that even loaded? I hope so. No, it didn't load yet. Total score div.html. All right, moment of truth. So again, if this works out well enough, we should get a chart of all of the data stored here. I mean, they already give you a nice chart, but we should get a chart of it in a more accessible way. Oh, well, there you go. Apparently I've failed my own test way too many times for me to be comfortable with. Now let's just make sure that our algorithm is working, right? That's telling that every grade is an F. It's important to make sure that that's real. I think it's probably accurate because I've just been picking random numbers, and you're not really supposed to do well on tests by picking random numbers. Yeah, that looks pretty accurate. I should probably test one out here. In fact, I can test one out by just modifying myself the values in Firebase by hitting enter here. This is good practice for testing, by the way. There's nothing wrong with doing this. Okay, so I'm going to wait for this, and then I'm going to reload it and just test it out. We know the chart actually generates now. It's just a matter of checking to see if it works correctly. Because we don't want our students to feel too bad about themselves. If they're doing well, we probably want them to know and not think they're all failing. Okay, good. There we go. So it does generate correctly. I'm assuming the other ones work too, but you should test it out. Anyway, so that concludes how to create, I don't know why it says company performance. It should say test performance. Yeah. Anyway, that concludes how to create a chart from your Firebase data. So remember, for this project, you really need to kind of go above and beyond this a little bit. Pick a chart that really makes sense for what you want to display. Edit the chart a little bit. You can change the color. You guys know how to do that by now in the customization and configuration options. And by changing this options object here, play around a little bit. That's what you're supposed to do. You can't figure out how to use this documentation unless you do some trial and error. But that's going to be on you, because at this point, you know everything you need to know to create and deploy a site to help your fellow classmates review for their midterm exams. So I wish you and them good luck on your tests, and you good luck on finishing this project. And that's all for now. All right. Happy coding.